let's talk about a very important medicinal plant, cinchona. This is the Cinchona tree. It is a type of tree that is native to a few areas of South America, particularly around the Andes region. Now, there's a bunch of different species of cinchona, and they all fall under the same kind of genus of fever trees. And the bark of the Cinchona tree has been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years by local people and other people around the world, due to its antipyretic activities, meaning it helps get rid of and break fevers. The main compound that is responsible for the medicinal value of the Cinchona tree is called quinine. Quinine is the plant alkaloid that is derived from the cinchona bark and historically was the only available treatment for malaria. Malaria is a type of parasite that's found in the blood. I've made more detailed videos about malaria itself, but basically it is transmitted by mosquitoes and causes a lot of problems in your blood, including symptoms presenting like very severe fevers. Malaria was and still is a big problem, so the discovery that cinchona can be used to treat malaria was huge. During the time of the European colonization of North and South America, the Europeans were introduced to the healing properties of cinchona, and it massively helped out people all around the world, basically, who were affected by malaria. Not only the indigenous South American people who already used this, but the European colonizers and settlers that were in the area, and they brought it back to Europe, where it eventually spread around to other places as the only effective malaria treatment. The quinine specifically helps treat malaria by targeting the parasites themselves. It messes with the metabolic processes of the malaria parasites. Now, while the exact mechanism of action of how quinine affects the malaria parasites is very complicated and also not entirely 100% known, we do know it does mess with them being able to metabolize hemoglobin, which is in your blood, causing the death of the parasite. It is also important to note that taking quinine does not prevent malaria. If you are taking quinine or cinchona, you can still get malaria. However, it does help treat it by killing the parasite. It will not stop you from getting it. It's not the same as like a vaccine, and we do not have a malaria vaccine as of right now. Or at least not a widespread, easily available, and 100% tested vaccine. There are a couple experimental vaccines that are only given in specific circumstances. Majority of people are not vaccinated against malaria, so they rely on quinine to be treated for that. Now, synthetic quinine does exist. We figured out how to isolate it in the 1940s, and the synthetic varieties give a more accurate and easy to dose method of treating malaria than just using extract from the bark, which does not always give an accurate dosage. But before the synthetic quinine was readily available, cinchona was cultivated all around the world and still is in quite a few places, in addition to growing wild in South America and a couple other places where it has become naturalized. And since malaria is definitely in the top 3 most common infectious diseases, it is very important that we found a good, effective treatment for malaria. And even though in some places there are certain strains of malaria that are becoming quinine resistant, which is not great, we are still able to treat it with quinine and a number of other drugs to combat it. And historically, again, this is also very important because cinchona and quinine were the very first ever chemical compounds that were used to treat infectious diseases. So that in itself is pretty cool and very important.